It's a new year and a new chance for you to make a fresh start with your compliance. For it, we're going to be bringing you a daily tip, strategy, or idea that you can use to improve your program. Here's your host, Tom Fox, the Compliance Evangelist.
Day 13, Institutional Justice and Fairness. Companies have finally come to realize that institutional justice and fairness are perhaps the most basic tenet of any successful workplace. If employees believe they will be treated fairly, it will engender a level of trust that can work to not only simply motivate employees, but to lead to a more successful workplace and, at the end of the day, a more profitable company. This encompasses the entire life cycle of the employment relationship, from hiring through separation. It works in areas as disparate as compensation and incentives, discipline, promotion, and internal reporting. On this final point, Kyle Welch, in his paper, Evidence on the Use of and Efficacy of Internal Whistleblowing Systems, noted that a robust whistleblowing reporting system speaks to a functioning and ethical corporate culture. Employees who can report issues in a fair manner without the fear of retaliation are more empowered to make the company run more efficiently and more profitably. Yet an equally interesting finding was that where there is a robust internal reporting, employees are more likely to speak up to improve overall business processes, thereby making the company more profitable. The issue of institutional justice is most clearly seen in the area of discipline. This can be in the overall application to a compliance program to all employees, board members, and senior managers. As noted in the 2020 FCPA Resource Guide, a compliance program should apply from the boardroom to the supply room. No one should be beyond its reach. The DOJ and SEC will thus consider whether, when enforcing a compliance program, a company has an appropriate and clear disciplinary procedures, whether those procedures are applied reliably and promptly, and whether they are commensurate with the violation. This mandate was brought forward from the 2017 FCPA Corporate Enforcement Policy, which stated, appropriate discipline of employees, including those identified by the company as responsible for the misconduct, either through the direct participation or failure in oversight, as well as those with supervisory authority over the area in which the criminal conduct occurred. All of these concepts were continued in the 2020 update as well. The 2020 update laid out mandates in human resource process and consistent application. One of the areas in which HR can operationalize or help to operationalize your compliance program is to ensure that discipline is handed out appropriately and consistently across the organization, and to reward those employees who integrate such ethical and compliant behaviors into their individual work practices. In addition to providing a financial incentive for ethical behavior, it also provides a sense of institutional justice. Institutional justice comes from procedural fairness and is an area that will bring credibility to your compliance program. Today, that institutional justice is called the Fair Process Doctrine, which recognizes there are fair processes, not arbitrary ones, in the processing involving rights. Considerable research has shown that people are more willing to accept negative, unfavorable, and non-preferred outcomes when they are arrived at by processes and procedures that they perceive as fair. As you incorporate the Fair Process Doctrine into your compliance program, there are three key areas to focus on. Number one, administration of discipline. One area where the Fair Process Doctrine is paramount is in the administration of discipline after any compliance-related incident. Discipline must not only be administered fairly, but it must be administered consistently across the company for the violation of any company policy. Failure to administer discipline uniformly will destroy any vestige of credibility that you may have developed. Likewise, there are real consequences for employees who violate your compliance program. If regulators come knocking and you have not disciplined employees for code of conduct or other compliance violations in multiple years, the DOJ and SEC will conclude quickly that you are not serious about your compliance program. The fair process means that you must discipline those who engage in compliance violations, no matter what their position is within the organization. Employee promotions is number two. And in addition, the area of discipline, which may be administered by the completion of any compliance investigation, you must also place compliance firmly as a part of ongoing employee evaluations and promotions. If your company is seen only to advance and reward employees who achieve their numbers by whatever means necessary, Other employees will certainly take note, and it will be understood that management evaluates and rewards on employees on that topic alone. 3, internal investigations. The third area of the fair process doctrine is around internal investigations. If your employees do not believe that an investigation is fair and impartial, then it is not fair and impartial. Further, those involved must have the confidence that any internal investigation is treated seriously and objectively. One of the key reasons that employees will go outside of a company internal hotline is because they do not believe the investigation process will be fair. So what are today's 3 key takeaways? Number 1, the SEC and DOJ have long called for appropriate and consistent application of both incentives and discipline. 2, the fair process doctrine will help set institutional justice as the norm in your organization. 3, inconsistent application of discipline will destroy your compliance program credibility. This is Tom Fox again. Thank you for listening to this episode of 31 Days to a More Effective Compliance Program. I hope you will join me for the entire month of January, where I take a look at some of the significant changes in compliance and FCPA enforcement which occurred in 2020 and will help inform your compliance program going forward into 2021 and indeed beyond.